Hi, my name is Mike.l.Levine. I work for Aurora Investments Global. We're a Vietnamese apparel manufacturer. Those of you who have been watching my channel already know we have 22 sewing factories, 2 laundries, 2 textile mills, all located in Vietnam. And we are slowly working our way to becoming duty-free into Canada. Right now, reduced duty rate. So if you're a Canadian manufacturer or warehouse, Vietnam to Canada has, in some cases, even duty-free status now. We're always looking for new customers and hope that during these trying times that I can inspire you, those of you watching, to contact me, and together we can develop some new items that can add to your current line of products. Up until now, if you've been watching my channel, you know I've been showing Spring 21. Today is no exception. The collection is also very heavily weighted towards knits, and that's my segue in today's topic of knit fabrics. There are 2 primary types of knit, weft and warp knits. Weft knitting is the most common used in apparel, and it would be the type of knit that you're familiar with if you've ever witnessed anyone just knitting by hand. That's a weft knit. The most common weft knit is referred to as a jersey. Weft knit is basically just a single yarn, as you've seen if you've watched hand sewing. Although production machines use multiple yarns, that's just a technique to get the production out quicker, but the process is basically the same. It's one yarn going on top of each other in successive slip knots or loops. Weft knitting machines create fabrics that are either flat or circular, so the machine can be set either way. Circular knits are basically going around in a circle like a screw as they build up, and flat knit weft knitting machines kind of just go back and forth like, say, a typewriter in the old days, if those of you who know what typewriters are. Weft knits can be solid heather or stripes, but the stripes are typically going to be horizontal, especially if they're yarn dye. Using this kid's knitting machine, like I'm showing you here in this little video clip, that you can see how the needle comes up and grabs the new yarn and pulls it through the previously made loop that will be directly below it in the finished product. And you can see how changing thread color can create horizontal stripes. This is an example of a circular knitting machine that, just like its production counterpart, and to create mesh, jacquards, piques, and the like, they're all done on this same machine just by either skipping a needle or doing a double knot on one needle and then going every other needle. For garment production, circular knits get slit up the side and then laid flat, and so we could put regular patterns on them and make them into any type of product. Double knits are also a type of weft knit fabric. These machines, takes a special machine, has a second row of needles in it. They're perpendicular to the row that I showed you, which are moving up and down. And basically they're making 2 layers of fabric at the same time, but those fabrics are knitted into each other. So not only are you knitting 2 pieces of fabric kind of on top of each other, but they're into each other, so they're connected. And double knits allow for a lot of creativity. A product we have in our line where we use an upper yarn for repellency and an internal yarn on the other back side of the double knit as wicking, and there we get our sweat-proof fabric, which is repellency on the outside, wicking on the inside, so when you sweat gets absorbed into your fabric, but it doesn't get passed through to the outside because of the repellent yarn. Another cool example of a double knit would be this yoga pant that we've developed, where we have black yarn dye on the outside and white yarn dye on the inside, and there we can get, as you can see, the back of the fabric's white, the face is black, and we can do 2 different colors, and of course they don't have to be black and white. You can mix it up, make a nice reversible garment. So warp knits are a completely different animal than your circular or your flat weft knits, because they do require multiple yarns. Matter of fact, it's going to look very similar, the machine setup, to what you've seen in a weaving machine, where there is all the warp yarns feeding into the machine. What happens is each warp yarn has a needle, and it's going to be consecutively making loop after loop, stacking them on top of each other, but they alternate going to its neighbor. So one loop will go to the left, and then the next loop that same needle makes will go to the right and cross with the right, its neighbor. And that's how you get a warp knit. So you can get vertical looking patterns. We can use yarn dyes to get vertical stripes, and although warp knits have a little less give in the weave, so they're a little stiffer, it's not really much very noticeable. Typically warp knits create fabrics that you refer to as tricots, but Lululemon most recently has made warp knits very popular, as most of their products are warp. You can identify warp and weft knits when you look at them under a microscope or under magnifying glass, as you can see in my next example here. This is a magnified view of a warp knit. What you're looking at is the top of the loop, which we refer to as the crown, and that is the face. And as you can see, it's a fairly even looking pattern, both directions, horizontal and vertical, very evenly spaced, with maybe a little bit more pronounced vertical or horizontal look to the rows. This is the back of the same fabric. Here you're looking at the sides of the loop, which we call the legs. And once again, you can see kind of where the crown pokes through, top and bottom, creating horizontal appearance. So here we can see the face of a jersey, which we call the weft knit, as I mentioned before. Each row going up, or column, is referred to as a wale, just like we would in corduroy. And you can see they're very pronounced. What we're looking at once again on the face is the top of the loop, which we call the crown. And in between the crown, which is forming those ridges, we can see almost like a herringbone type of pattern from the legs of the loop. Looking at the back of the fabric, here you can still see each wale very markedly pronounced. And this is the space dye jersey that I had taken from our collection, and you can kind of see a little bit easier each wale and how, because the yarns are all going horizontal, we can only create horizontal stripes. Once again, what you're looking at there is the top of the loop of the crown that makes the face of the fabric, and that's you can partially kind of see the legs coming down, and then they're of course gripped around by the next loop below it. All right, just a couple items real quick. I'll be brief, take you through my collection. So this is a short that I've been wearing myself. It's 100% poly. It's a recycled polyester warp knit, about 238 GSM, similar weight to like what you would find in that Lululemon garment we spoke about, the ABC pant. This makes a terrific short pant. Like I said, if you're familiar with that pant, that Lululemon, it doesn't have a lot of give to it. In the warp direction, in the weft, somewhat, it's but still very comfortable, very functional fabric. Here we have recycled nylon. So once again, recycled poly. This is recycled nylon, part of our green theme that we have running through our whole collection. This is also made into like a men's gym short, 155 GSM, so it's lighter weight. Once again, warp knit, nylon spandex, so this is going to have stretch in every direction. Make a great concept for your collection. It's recycled nylon, and as well as this is the same fabric, just in a lighter color. We did it with a stripe going down, contrast fabric going down the side. Recycled nylon, spandex, 155 GSM, warp knit, really great fabric to add into your collection. This particular item is a 220 GSM, so it's a little bit lighter weight from the first warp knit that I showed you. Not very noticeable. You might say this could be more spring, where the previous one was more fall. This, we use a PBT yarn, which is a texturized yarn, which is going to give us stretch, great stretch in both directions because of the type of yarn we used. It's a warp knit, makes great short pant blazer, an unconstructed blazer. Here we have it in a jogger format, jogger silhouette. This is a warp knit as well, 100% polyester with the recycled poly. This is 230 GSM, so it's a little bit different construction from the gym short that I've been wearing. Also look terrific in your collection. So now getting back into our wefts or circular knits, this is how I showed you underneath the, oh my god, I showed you underneath the magnifying glass, so you could see how it looks very horizontal, all the stripes. When you look at it close, you can see clearly all the wales which run vertically, but as I showed you from the kids knitting machine, really your only option is for making stripes going in the horizontal direction, unless of course you print on it, which then you have your versatility multiplies. This here is 100% poly. It's a jersey. It's a recycled poly. Has moisture wicking, of course, so it keeps you cool. Really nice construction. It's almost like a mesh, you know, as most jerseys, if you look at them close enough, if they're lightweight, they have really good airflow. So this makes an excellent garment for working out in or all-day wear. Great breathability. I also pointed to you out earlier the yoga pant. So this is a circular knit. It's a double knit. It's got the white fabric on one side and the black on the other. We've done some really cool things with double knits, including making a reversible garment where the seams are all the same inside and out, flat lock stitching. Another option with circular knits is if you have the proper equipment, and we do, you can make your circular knit come out to the correct waist size and do seamless, and we have seamless yoga pants. So if that's where your interests lie, please reach out to me and I'll show you, probably do a dedicated video on seamless coming up in the future. In the video interests you and you'd like to develop it for your company, please reach out to me and I will be sure to contact you back, and we can set up a time where you can either view my whole line or we can start costing products for you. Anyways, it was a pleasure doing the video for you. Please dress smart.